Alright, so today we took an L of minus 250, and we did mitigate the risk. I won't lie. This was a good trade, I won't lie. But again, I just entered too prematurely, and the bias was incorrect. It was simple as that. We took longs, and I'll show you guys that right now. But we lost 272, and then on this account we're down 788 from the loss of last week. So again, we're down like 280. I did mitigate the risk, as I said. I cut the risk in half. I originally was risking around like 500, so 1%. And let's go over the bias first and foremost. So on the weekly time frame, we have this weekly fair value gap, which the market is clearly aiming for now, and we also have a weekly CRT formation right there. As you can see, the market is clearly aiming for the 50% retracement. Of course, you can catch longs here and there. We did also have a daily, candle reach low sweep at the time. Same thing with the 4 hour for the 9 a.m. Here is a 1 hour PDRA, which I drew, which was the SIBI. So at the moment, this was about to get inverse, but it didn't, and the market just continued to build low resistance for whenever we do push back up. We swept external. That's kind of a good thing. We swept this low right here from yesterday in the afternoon, and that was my main driver. But of course, we had that fair value gap right below us, so I should have been waiting for a little bit something more. And then on the 30-minute time frame, really not much. As you can see here, we don't really have much in terms of like 9:30, and then 10 o'clock, and then 15-minute time frame. We have a 15-minute, bullish BPR that formed after we closed above it. Instead of being bearish, we formed it as a bullish one. Because again, we disrespected the sell side of it. We disrespected both sides, honestly, if I'm being truly honest. And then eventually, once we got to the highs, that's kind of where things got a little bit more tricky. The market was unable to continue up higher, and it was showing strong rejection. That should have been my first sign, like, hey, at 9:30 when the market pushed up, we had failed to make a strong candle closure and rejected. And then for 9:45, we really had the same ideal scenario off of the 1 hour PDRA. And then on the 5-minute time frame, we had a 5-minute fair value gap, which was the first presented fair value gap, and this is where the trade idea went incorrect. And then on 3-minute time frame, we had a 3-minute inversion, a SIBI. What am I saying, inversion? We had a 3-minute SIBI, which never got inversed, and I was looking for it to get inversed, and as you know, I basically took the trade there. So we're gonna go to the 15-second time frame on this chart, and we're gonna pull up the trade idea right here, which was the trade idea. So I had the opportunity to go break even above these highs, but I thought to myself, what point am I going to go break even? The market can just come back down and stop me out. And then eventually I've just mitigated the risk to 35, or just below this, SIBI. And this was the original trade, something like this, but I just mitigated it a good amount. And again, it is unfortunate that I took this reason, for why I shouldn't have taken this trade is, we failed to inverse it. That's first and foremost. We failed to inverse it, and then the 1 hour wasn't also inversed. And the 5-minute PDRA was good. This was good. 15-minute time frame, we tapped up into this right here. It looked nice to me. It looked nice. It looked promising. I thought, this is a really good setup. Everything looks like it's aligning perfectly. It was just simply the 4 hour and the higher time frame context that we failed to have. And to me, it seemed like, whenever we were failing to disrespect this right here, or failing to hold it, it just seemed like it got burned out. We're aiming for the 50 for the weekly one. And yeah, and another thing too really is just waiting for the closure. If we simply waited for the closure, this would have all been prevented. And then another thing too is like, hey, this could have been the break-even point, the closure, and then we could have been targeting some form of buy side, like something up there. And this could have been your trade idea. Suppose it closed at that wick. Closed at the wick. Stop loss is somewhere around here, which is a bigger stop loss. But if you want to play it safe, have it at the fair value gap low. Aim for this. It's still a good risk reward. So 1 to 2, bro. But again, another thing too is like, majority of the setups that I take and the ones that I'm losing are off of these right here, are off of the fair value gaps, retracements. Then you form an inversion. Either I'm taking it too soon, or I'm not waiting for the first fair value gap to get disrespected and inversed. and that's something I'm just noticing in my journal, is like retracement trades aren't really forming to my favor if I'm not playing it correctly. And in terms of playing it correctly, like, we should have been waiting for this inverse, should have gone break even above here, should have probably targeted this high up here. And again, we should just be trading below equilibrium. Common sense, these are common things, which I'm starting to realize, and yeah, that's one of the biggest things right now is like, hey, like, what are you doing, bro? We were doing really well in terms of being patient, not forcing setups, making sure it's clear, and waiting for confirmation in terms of like, hey, waiting for the fair value gap to get inverse, waiting for this fair value gap to hold, waiting for X, Y, and Z. And today, I just clearly got punished. I entered too early. I had greed, I had FOMO, I had all these negative emotions, and I was unable to walk away from the charts. I started taking trades on ES, which I'm probably not going to journal, but I did take a trade on ES here. As you can see here, we took a short, but I never held it, and I closed it break even because I knew, I was like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I just waited for it to get break even, and then I closed it, but the market eventually ripped, met that objective, which again was the lows, which was clear. This was super clear, because again, we failed to hold the bullish fair value gap, and we were disrespecting it, and the market was clearly aiming for a bearish PDA right here. So this is right here, this is right here. So again, we failed to hold the bullish fair value gap. Why? Because we would have made this inverse. So then eventually the market started to push down lower, and then eventually we entered around here, and we entered around here, waited for the market, and we stalled around. And I was like, you know what, not worth it. I moved my stops to break even as soon as I could, got break even, and then the market flushed and met the target. And I was only risking one contract, which is around, with 1% risk, is around 10 points. So this would have to be like the trade idea, something like this. Boom, boom, boom. That's the trade, something like that. Boom, 10 points. And yeah, that is really it. Yeah, we're more of a back and forth type of day. Am I mad? Am I disappointed? Yes, of course, I'm sad. Because again, I thought, the 3-minute inversion was going to hold. I thought it was going to be pushing up higher, having quick speed. I thought it was going to be like YM, like YM with the 3-minute here. Clearly, it just pushed up higher and just didn't have any form of regret. As you can see here, boom, market just pushed up. Stops at this right here, target this, negative R, go for positive, whatever, like it seemed like every trade worked out except mine, in my actual idea with higher time frame confluences, everything backing us up. It was just unfortunate, really, because again, I had a lot of belief in this trade and it just didn't play out in my favor. And there was only one, PDRA that wasn't really in our favor, which was the 1 hour CIVI, and next thing you know, that thing holds and it pushes us down lower to continue to the sell side objective, which is very unfortunate. We had the 5-minute, we had the 15-minute, we had the 1 hour candle range low, we had the 4 hour candle range low, and then we also had that daily BISI we were in, but now we're inside of the weekly one, and we're breaking market structure, retracing, like it just looked clear for longs, and I just got impatient, and I got punished. So yeah, I'm gonna learn from this, gonna walk away, lock the account for you guys to show you that, hey, we're locked out. Where's the right here? So yeah, do I think I can come back down from 788? Yes. Another thing too is like, again, those bad emotions, those negative thoughts of, not really negative thoughts, but those are thoughts of attachment, of being greedy, like wanting to pay out XYZ, starting to come back. They're starting to come back in my mental, especially after passing the funded accounts. But one of the biggest things I'm trying to do is like delay the gratification. Again, just not set such a high level of importance or attachment to these accounts, and just trading in general, and just focusing on the process and taking it day by day, not worrying about what balance we're at, how much we got left for a payout, how many winning days we need, X, Y, and Z, and just focusing on the day-to-day process, like having goals outside of trading that are more important than trading, and having my focus and attachment to, like God or something. Not like God, no, that's disrespect. Like God, like making God proud. That's what I mean. And like by being a better version of myself, by meditating every day, by reading, by studying, and by praying and doing all those key habits, and focusing more on my internal world and my internal internal inspection and importance rather than the external, and that's something I'm really just gonna have to double down on, because again, I am feeling those negative emotions of like, hey, you know like, oh, you just need to show up today and get a winning trade, you're out of the drawdown, or oh, you need to show up today and get 1 out of the 5 winning days. Like, it's certain thoughts like that come into the back of my mind that make me force setups, when in reality, whenever I was on the combines, I just was in the best state of mind, and I was in a flow state. I won't lie, I was in a flow state where I was able to wait for setups. I was able to wait for things that were super clear. I would risk a little bit more, take my W, walk away. It was really that simple. Now I'm having trouble. Now I'm getting in, having FOMO. Now I'm not able to read the market as clear. And I'm just forcing setups. I'm impatient. I'm being greedy. I'm having FOMO. And it's like certain things like that where like, hey, bro, we need to really reflect. We need to really review and analyze and start to just work on that. Because again, that's why I locked all this right here. I locked all these out because again, I just don't want to be focusing on that, and I want to be focusing on what's right in front of me, my trade idea, and just fixing these emotions, honestly. Because again, I have been a little bit more emotional. So yeah, that's really it, guys. Catch you guys later. Peace.